Hey there guys, Elita Legionarii here, and today I am bringing you a 3 vs 3 31k for Rome Total War. In this battle I took command of the Daud-Julli Romans. My allies were Heaven's member Polish Legion, who took the Spqr Romans, and COH member Daud, who took the Daud-Julli Romans. Our opponents consist of IRE player INDI. He's an experienced 31k, he took the Senate. Actually, all the enemy team took the Senate. We have Brotherhood member Odin, and we have Thor, although I don't think he was a King's member at this stage, but I think he's moved on to something else now. I find it hard to keep up with Thor's clan changing. Anyway, my army is a wee bit different. I've brought 4 archer auxilia, and I've only brought 4 cavalry. Which is a bit of a gamble really, because it puts me in a little bit of a weaker area in the area of the cavalry department. I believe I have 12 units of urban cohorts. So I've got less infantry, less cavalry, but I've got to make these archers work, otherwise I'm going to make it a lot harder for myself basically. So I'm just moving up here, as you can see. I'm on the left. We've got Polish Legion in the centre. He's just got this typical build, and I think Daud's got the typical build as well. He's got a legionary first, legionary first cohort. But other than that, he's got the typical, I think. Yeah, he's got the. So what I'm trying to do here in this fight, now my aim was to try and bait Thor into attacking me in this fight. I want to chip away at his cav or his flanks or anything like that, and I want him to try and break away from his lines. These two would basically just fight these two as a 2v2, and I was going to try and get Thor to react rashly or a little prematurely to something, so I could perhaps isolate him out and maybe get a bit of support from Polish Legion's cav and maybe destroy Thor. See if I could do that on him, or I could just chip away at his cav and his infantry and just wear him down and then attack him later on. Because I don't have the infantry. I have 12 infantry and I can hold my own against Thor, but he's got more infantry and he's also got more cavalry. Plus he's got the legionary first cohort, he's going to have that extra morale buff. So I'm not going to be able to have a very easy job defeating his infantry sort of on a 1-for-1. So as you can see, I packed my guys are nice and tight together and they're in guard mode. I'm going to play very defensive. I'm going to look at least appear aggressive at first, but I want Thor to feel like he's got to come at me and come at my guys with his troops and try and take me down. And that's what I want him to do. I want to try and bait him into it. On the other flank, we've got a bit of peeler dueling going on between Indy and Daud, but basically a fairly standard battle between these guys at the moment. Quite a few peeler screens here I can see from Odin. So it would be probably a pretty big peeler battle between him and Polish Legion, and it's looking fairly standard so far on this flank. Although Daud is not in wedge formation, neither am I. You don't always need to be in wedge formation. Wedge formation is better for when you go for that charge, but sometimes being in regular formation is better for doing actions from the flank or against enemy missile units or anything like that. Because sometimes units that are in wedge formation, they kind of, unless they're sort of going in straight lines directly, they do funny things at angles. Anyway, what I'm trying to do here is look for any flanking opportunities to chip away at flanks of Thor's men or anything like that. Now I notice that Thor's broken off a little group here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave 2 of my guys here and bring these 2 back this way, so that I've got a potential crossfire no matter what way he goes. Now what Thor should do to counter this is push up with his cavalry. He's trying to push me back with his infantry here. But this does leave this area a bit weaker, so I could actually push up here as well. So it gives me a few options, but Thor makes a good move. He pushes his cavalry up, he's got infantry and support, and this is going to force us to retreat, which is what he wants. That's a good thing for him. On this flank, peeler duels going on, and it's looking to be a fairly even sort of battle. Depends on who got the first volleys. I think Daud might have got... one of Daud's guys has been pretty badly weakened. And then we have Polish Legion beginning his peeler duel with Odin through the centre here. And then I'm withdrawing my guys back here. But I want to try and draw Thor into a battle he doesn't need to take, so I can get the advantage here. But as you can see, Thor has brought this group out to the flank here. So in a moment moment, I believe I start pushing up through the centre here, just to see if I can put some pressure on here and maybe force Thor back a bit. Odin's actually brought 3 of his cavalry to support, and then the rest of their cavalry is lined up through there on the left. So instead of decide not to bother with trying to flank here, because I'm probably going to get pushed back. Instead I'm going to push forward and engage up through the centre. I notice Thor goes out of Testudo here, so although I think he's just going to get back into Testudo before I can, my guys will probably throw one volley at Pila. He just gets into Testudo quickly enough, and I noticed this before my guys end up expending too much Pila, because that would be a very big mistake on my part if I let that happen. But I don't really get many kills at all there, because he just got into Testudo in time. Through the centre there is more of a Pila duel going on, and there's a bit of engagements going on up on this end as well from Daud. I decided to push up here, with my peasants, what am I talking about? My Pila screens is what I meant to say. I'm going to push up here, and I'm going to bypass the Testudos and get some of these guys here that are in a tighter packed formation. I'm also going to use fire arrows, see if I can drive Thor's cavalry backwards. That's what I'm going to try and do. I believe these guys might have actually wasted their Pila earlier on, and this is where I think Thor made a mistake. See how he's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, like he's got like probably a good 5 or 6 units all throwing their Pila at just two urbans here. Sure, he'll destroy them, but he's going to expend so many Pila doing this, and that's not good for his later game. So yeah, I'm going to lose my Pila screens, but Thor's, look at this, he's throwing his back lines here as well. And this is good for me. I want Thor to expend his Pila because he's got more infantry than me, which would give him a Pila advantage. And I don't want him to have that. I want him to expend the Pila, which is good, because my guys are in this tighter formation, which does make them a little more vulnerable to Pila, obviously. Now what I do here is I pull this unit back in case I'm going to get flanked, and then I'm going to push up over here, and I'm going to bypass his guys here and hit these guys in the back. Over here, as you can see, more Pila dueling going on through here, and I would say that was going Daud's way. It looks pretty good for him. Polish Legion's mostly just acting as Testudo, and it's pretty defensive and static in the centre. So yeah, I'm going to try and I'll bypass these guys and hit some of these other units. So as you can see, this unit here is sort of turning a bit because it's going to throw Pila over here. Because if you manually control your Pila, you can tell them to fire at units you want them to fire at. But you have to throw a volley of Pila, then press backspace before they charge, and then just repeat, and you can tell them to throw them wherever you want. Otherwise they will always throw it at the Testudo. Over here, as you can see, I'm using my fire arrows to just thin out Thor's cavalry, and having a pretty good effect too. This unit's been nearly cut in half by numbers, which is good for me. So as you can see, I've got my guys here, and they're throwing their Pila, and as you can see, it's bypassing the Testudo and going to this tight formation unit behind it. And I'm just going to keep repeating it. Now notice these guys go out of Testudo here, and I'm going to throw more, but look at this, see what Thor's doing? His guys are not being manually throwing, and they threw at my Testudo unit, you see. That's why manually throwing Pila is actually better than letting the AI just press auto fire and let them fire themselves, because they will actually throw Pila at the Testudo, basically. They do it every time. It's always something that annoys the crap out of me. Anyway, as you can see, there's some engagements going on through here, and more shots coming up. Now again, if we look here, Polish Legion, these guys are throwing in here because these guys are tightly packed, but they will probably always target the Testudo unit. Over here I decided to work on thinning out these guys here, and what I'm doing here is I'm going to keep pushing around up here and try and get opportunities to hit guys that are in tight formation with my Pila. Over here, as you can see, Polish Legion is getting attacked by Odin in the centre. Looks like on this flank, Daud has actually kind of started refusing his flank and taking it slowly. And I'm just using my archers to wear out cavalry units all around the field. Lower their morale. Of course, they're getting hit by fire arrows. They're losing numbers. They've got lower morale. So when the big charge comes in with lower morale, they might be inclined to rout sooner. So here we see that Thor is pushing his Testudos into my guys, but my guys are in guard mode, so that's going to be a very, very slow process on his end. At this stage, on this flank, looks like INDI has routed one of Daud's units, but it's pretty static here. Now I notice Thor really pushes up here, so I let my guys go to fire at will here. His guys are not in Testudo, they're a tighter formation, they're blocked up. Polish Legion unleashes a few Pila, and then I'm going to unleash now. So we'll see a lot of Thor's men get chopped down. Now he's going to have a few Peeler of his own, but you have to remember Thor expended lots of his Peeler before, so I'm not going to lose nearly the same kind of numbers as Thor is going to lose, because he expended a lot of his Peeler. So if we look at his men, they get chopped down. Look, a lot of them are in the 50s, the 60s. Yeah, admittedly I'm getting some help there from Polish Legion. Here we see Odin makes a quick charge, but Polish is going to counter it, but that charge was better on Odin's end, and it looks like Thor supported it with some infantry. Thor decides to come through here, but my guys are in guard mode and in deeper formation, so the impact of his guys is not going to be that effective. And now I'm going to get into his sort of flank here a little bit, as you can see, which is what I'm going for here, and Polish Legion has got some cavalry to help me. But Thor makes a nice disengagement here, and I only managed to rout one unit there, and I need to get out before I get myself, look, see, he's going to get my flank there, so I need to get out. Over here we can see that Daud's supporting Polish Legion in the centre, because it looks as if Odin might have been getting the edge there. And I pull my archers back because I recognise they're too close to the action. But again, my guys have got the Peeler there, and I'm staying in guard mode. I want Thor to keep going at me. I want kind of Thor to wear himself out on my guys and then get a nice counter, because the battle's going good on this flank. So I come in for the counter here. Thor's going to come in there, and then bang, my counter's going to come in. It's a pretty good charge there. I got to be careful though, because as I said, I believe Thor's got two cav more than me, or one cav more than me, so he's got a cavalry edge. But Polish Legion's supporting, and he's also doing action in the centre. This is good. See, this is what a central player should do. A central player should try and support his allies on the flanks, if that's, you know, what he's in a position to do. Now I have the advantage here with my archers, because I can pump fire arrows into Thor here, which is going to reduce his morale, which is good for me, and not for him. Here we see Daud is supporting Polish Legion. This centre is starting to break up. Daud is not taking an engagement over here, and we see that INDI is not pushing up aggressively enough. I think he needs to put more pressure down over here. Get a charge through here, but because I got less cavalry, it's taking me longer to do this, and that's always a disadvantage with your less cavalry. They don't do as well in this kind of department. But overall, my guys are still in guard mode, so it's kind of like a big brick wall, if you will. Thor's men are not breaching it because they're just in that guard mode, and it's doing a lot of damage. I'm putting fire arrows down continuously on these cavalry, lower their morale, so that their charges are not as effective. Here we see INDI come in, and then Daud's going to get a really nice counter here on these guys, and that's going to cause 2 routs there. I believe Polish Legion has actually pushed through here, and he's got a nice breakthrough, and we're going to get a nice mass rout on INDI's cavalry here. Thor's coming in here, and I managed to rout that first cohort and get a reasonably substantial rout, and I come in from the flank here, and Polish Legion makes a nice move by coming into the side here, which is good. So between fire arrows and a couple of flanks there, and then all of Daud's cavalry sitting on the side there, that basically mass routs most of Thor's infantry. The loss of the first cohort is always dangerous because it does that huge morale penalty, and then Daud's cav comes in, and we managed to mass rout Thor on this flank. So yeah, it worked out well because I wanted Thor to do this. I wanted him to attack, and I wanted to act like a big brick wall basically, and it was working very well because my allies were doing good on their respective parts of the fight, so I was able to have the room to do that. Because I had the archers, it would have been much harder for me to... I could have been aggressive, but I had less cavalry, I had less infantry, you know, it would have been a more difficult task to undertake. Anyway, on this flank, they're pushing in on Daud, but he's holding out nicely, and now we have the cavalry edge. As you can see, we're pushing around with our cavalry. I'm going to send my cavalry around behind and go for some rear charges. Daud has still got his cavalry here, and Thor's guys have been mopped up, so I'm going to form up my infantry to go through with it. And I noticed that INDI's cav is here, but I just decided to ignore it because I know that Daud's cav's nearby. I want to get this rout going on through here. So charge into the side here, going for this first cohort, and I managed to rout it. But as you can see, Daud's going to support it as well. INDI's here, but his cav are very depleted, and Daud's right in support, so that's not going to be dangerous for me or for us. It's going to be the end of INDI's cav. And then I'm going to pour my infantry in as well. And Daud's going to send the rest of his cavalry in, and we get a pretty big rout going on here. Send my cavalry in this way. Got fire arrows coming on the flank, lower their morale, and the rout, you know, Daud's cav is just pushing in through, and get the general and that mass routs INDI's forces as well. So yeah, this fight, I wanted to be a little more defensive. because there's things you can do, you know, defensive. It's always, I prefer the aggressive play style, it's more into my style, but I definitely don't deny practicing or using defensive strategies from time to time, because it's always good to keep your kind of balance. So it was a clear victory for us. We all have around between 1,200 or 1,400 kills each on our team, and our opponents are mostly, let's see, INDI made over 1,000, Odin was close, and Thor was just shy of 800. So my army here, as you can see, my cavalry actually did very well in this fight. Even though I only had 4 of them, I was getting a lot of counter charges, and the fire arrows were helping lower the morale of Thor's men, which would cause them to rout sooner. And of course I was able to get into INDI's men at the end, which picked up a few more kills. The archer auxiliary didn't get a lot of kills, but they did a lot of lowering of morale, and I think it kind of made them react quicker with their cavalry, instead of getting their cavalry into the prime position, which is good, because I wanted to do that. Preferably it's best to get those flank shots, but it wasn't very easy because Thor's made some good moves out there with that cav and his infantry, and it kind of forced me to work on shooting at their cavalry instead. This is Daud's forces. Looks like his cavalry did very well as well, and he's got a mixture with his infantry. So that was a really good game for us. The strategy came together nicely. The support was there. Polish did a nice move in the centre. He was at everyone's side, and Daud was very, very good. He was all over the show. It's always good like that. So he had the support there. He was always supporting Polish Legion, and that was exactly what he needed to do. So excellent game to everyone there. Now I just recently learned Thor has a channel. I didn't actually know this, so I'm actually going to link this in the description. I'm sure he would appreciate that. He's starting out, and any views for him would be good. So go and check him out, and thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon next time.